talking about relationship challenges and navigating them in August 2019, which is in real time. It's what we're doing here. And I have the chart, of course, because we look at charts here on Sam's channel. We don't just theorize endlessly. We learn, we look at charts, and we rock and roll. So, as you can see, we're here at the very beginning of August 2019. Make that chart a little bigger. Here at the beginning of August 2019. And this is what we have. We have this pile up of planets here in Cancer. And there's a couple very important things that we want to address. And this shows why there's going to be some emotional or some certainly relationship issues and challenges coming for us here. So we got some people said hello. This person said hello. I don't know how to read. That looks like Chinese, but God love you. I don't know what your name is, but hi. Sasha Ellen said hello. Solsi said hi, Sam. Samar Haddad said hello. Hello, folks. We're going to be talking about this chart and especially why we should be expecting a couple months of some rocky relationship communications and whatnot. It could be, it's a time to be prepared. And that's what we do with astrology. That's how we use astrology, is we are prepared for what's coming up and understand the potential and how to get the most out of it. Lynette is here. Hello, Lynette. Great to see you. Pal is here. Hello. Colleen. Sebastian is here. Juan Pablo Penaloza. Hello, Juan. And this person's name means Ace of Clubs. Okay, great. I already feel the relationship money stuff coming up. Yep. Tim Barnes says howdy. Yeah, so we can already feel it because we're already in it. And this is what I'm going to talk about, what we're in. There's a couple things right away that we should notice, and they're very important. First of all, of course, we could just kind of seize on the fact of Mars being debilitated, quote, and he's in a very deep state of debilitation because his deepest debilitated state is 27 of Cancer, and he's pretty much right there at this point. But that's not even close to enough to make it that big of a deal. But when Mars is debilitated, we become very emotional about our fights and our fighting, and we're not strategic, and we're just triggered and creating a mess with our arguing. Now, that could be possible right now for sure. We can see in the last couple months, some of that is definitely there, or like the last month and a half or so. But what really has made it difficult is that Venus, especially now, Venus has gone into Cancer, which is not necessarily bad for relationships, because Cancer is a gentle sign and it wants to create connection. But it makes us quite emotional about those things. We can definitely get our feelings hurt easily when Venus is in Cancer, because Cancer is where we take everything very personally. And Venus, again, is about our desires, our desire for happiness. So again, we have a lot of desire to try to make other people happy when Venus is in Cancer. And then we get our feelings hurt very easily when it's not reciprocated. Again, because Cancer is where it's not about being reciprocal. It's about being selfless. And Venus is about where we want things to be reciprocal. So this is why it can get out of whack with Venus in Cancer. And we could say, well, but Venus in Cancer would be good for relationships, right? Again, and we want to put the famous good on it instead of interpret it. So yes, it could be good for it, but it's also good for getting your feelings hurt easily in relationships, especially because of the idea of this idea and this illusion that we get when Venus is in Cancer that all that I do, all I've tried to do, I'll do anything. I would do anything until I get my feelings hurt. Then I won't do anything. Then I'm a monster. So again, this illusion of Venus with the Cancer energy is this kind of thing, this romance, fantasy, disappointment sort of thing that can happen. So again, that's these are separate things. And when you start to notice difficulty when we see things pile up, when you start to see a couple things pile up, then then I would say something like this, like it's going to be difficult for a while because there are several things that are piling up. Already talked about one, which is Mars debilitated, the other with Venus, which is the possibility of getting our feelings hurt and getting disappointed. Boom, two things lined up, but we're not done. They're both also combust, a lot of combustion right now. And this is the classic combustion because Venus is on the other side of the sun. So when these planets are combust, which means they're very close to the sun longitudinally in the celestial longitude, it means they're on the other side of the sun from the earth. They're as far away from the earth as possible, right? So Venus is also all the way on the other side of the sun. So again, it's very far away, getting burned up in the rays of the sun. So it's combust. Mars is also combust and debilitated. So Mars is combust and debilitated. Again, combustion also means irritated. That's the simplest way to say with the combustion is frustrated or irritated. And it's like we have a short fuse. It's like burnt up. It's like a sunburn. This is how you can look at the combustion. In and of itself, it's not so bad, and it can make us very sensitive to that thing and even give us a lot of power, especially to purify it. And this is what I'm going to talk about when I get into the what to do about it, because it's relationship challenges and what to do about it. And we're going to also, talk about the what to do about it part. I always see things in this way for a reason, how to navigate these, potential difficulties. But first, we got to identify what they are. So it's kind of like a cosmic sunburn here with this Venus and Mars combust, and Mercury's about to be combust as well. Because if we run this forward, I'll run it forward by week. Okay, by next week, now again, you see Mercury's now moving very fast. 2 weeks later, Mercury again is getting also very close to the combustion, and then he's going to be combust. Now he's definitely combust because he's only a few degrees, and he's behind the sun. So again, you can see at this point, all this combustion by the time we're in the middle of, around the end of August 22nd, now look at all this combustion. Now Mercury is combust, look, very close, almost the same degree. Mars is combust, almost the same degree. Venus is combust. So this is August 29th. All these planets are now severely combust, and they're in Leo, which is fiery. So we have some big combustion coming up. Now, again, it's not unusual. This is not an unusual thing. What makes it more unusual and more combustible is the Mars combust. Mars is combust for a couple months every year. So again, it's not unusual. But again, this is also why, by the way, this cycle almost every year, I notice this. When Venus passes from Cancer, where it's not so happy because of the emotional triggering, then into Leo, where Venus is much more demanding and saying, I'm not feeling appreciated, and I'm the queen, I'm the king, I need to be appreciated, and kind of more demanding in Leo. And then it goes into Virgo, where it's debilitated, where then we become really cranky and irritable and hard to please. This section, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, is the most difficult section for Leo. I'm sorry, the most difficult section for Venus, and by extension, our relationships and our willingness to accommodate and feel good about compromising with the other person. See, this is what a powerful Venus gives. A powerful Venus makes it so that giving to the other person or other people or striking any kind of agreements actually feels good to us. We actually enjoy it. We actually like it. Now, again, sometimes we can like it too much, and we can compromise too much of our own values because we enjoy giving so much that we lose ourselves, and then that can create another issue. Again, this is why you have to interpret things, not just judge them, because a bad Venus can show up in a lot of ways. It can show up sometimes in going too far, sometimes not going far enough, blah, 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 blah. So you're always just interpreting every little thing. You're not judging it. So, but this section again, over here is where often the act of giving doesn't feel so good, especially in the Leo Virgo part, because Leo is like, I'm the important one, so you give to me. And Virgo is like, well, Virgo is very bean counting, hair splitting. Okay, well, I'll give this to you if you give this to me, because remember when I gave that to you and you didn't give it back? It's like an accountant keeping a ledger sheet of who has given more. So that's why especially Leo Virgo is the place where Venus has the most difficulty giving. Right? And again, I already mentioned with Cancer, it's almost like we're selfless, so we give so much. And then again, Venus is always about the equality. And this is why Libra comes next. And this section of Libra is kind of rebalances the scales after Virgo is too kind of hair splitting. So this is a kind of way to understand it. But again, we can notice here, this is by the end of August, then we go into September. Again, we're still looking at all this combustion. You want to look at how close these planets are to the sun. And Mars is combust within 15 degrees of the sun, generally, it's said. And again, Venus and Mercury are 10 and 12. But, again, the fact that they're also in Leo, you have to look at the nature of the sign, which is a fiery sign. So it's going to be very individualized. This is early September. Now we're in, you can see now, again, the planets have changed signs. So now it's easy to say, okay, well, now they're in different signs. Yeah, but you look at combustion by degrees. These rashis are just invisible lines in the sky. Things like combustion, you look at exact degrees. So especially Mars is still very combust. And again, you also got to remember it's in Leo. So Mars in Leo is already kind of itching for a fight, itching for a scrap, ready to squabble, ready to fight for something. And of course, in Leo, it's a sattvic sign. So, Mars is fighting and it's very righteous. It's a very righteous fight. And it often is. Mars in Leo is a very powerful placement. People who have Mars in Leo are often very courageous, especially fighting for the right thing, especially fighting for the righteous cause. You can see yours truly has Mars in Leo. And I'm definitely a fighter, but I'm fighting for the righteous cause usually. That's usually my motivation. And so the issue then becomes, what's the righteous cause? And I'm telling you this because this is a lot of the benefit and power of the next couple months that we're looking at. Because again, now we're here September 12th. It's about a month and a half away. Again, if we keep going though, September 19th. Again, Mars is still combust because the sun is only 2 degrees away. This is 26 degrees. So that's only about 6 degrees away. Mars is combust for 15 degrees. Again, Venus is still within the orb of combustion at about 10 degrees. So again, this is September 19th. That's a month and a half away. Again, Mars is still going to be combust for a while here, for up to 15 degrees. He's only 8. Now we have Venus debilitated, but again, it has its Nichabanga. So you never want to look at debilitation without also looking at the major Nichabanga factors, which the first one is the planet joined its ruler. So even though Venus is debilitated here, it's joined Mercury, its ruler. Usually Venus debilitated has some good Nichabanga. This is why Venus debilitated is usually the least difficult one, because there's usually Nichabanga, which means Mercury is either joined Venus usually or exchanging with Venus like we see here. So there's also the exchange now. So the entire time that Venus is debilitated, it's going to be joined its ruler or exchanging with its ruler. Okay? So it's going to show that difficulty of bean counting, like I said, Venus and Virgo gives you. But since Mercury is there, it's going to also make it fair about it and say, okay, maybe I'm being a little ridiculous here, and we'll be able to laugh at the problem and find a creative solution, be able to laugh at ourselves, which is a great Mercury skill. So during that whole time of Venus being debilitated, now, again, we're looking at early October right now. So we just went from early August to early October. This is what we're looking at, right? And so then by the next time Venus and Mercury go into Libra, and we can effectively say that all this relationship weirdness is kind of past. Okay. And so this is what I wanted to, show you, because then we have Venus, Mercury in Libra, where we then start to come back to balance, to use the famous famous Libra word that we all love, balance. But again, you can still see at this time, Mars is still combust. Now Mars is in Virgo. So I wanted to show you the cycle first overall, then we'll go back and look at some of the specific shifts, because there's going to be a difference between where we're at now, which is Venus, which is here, well, actually here. But it's mainly a shift from the Cancer to the Leo to the Virgo, and how to see how these things are going to play out. So we'll go back and see, a couple comments here. Mahina says, wow, August 29th is going to be a kaboom moment. Yeah, end of August is definitely, there's all this big pileup. It's not just that date. It's that surrounding time, like the time surrounding the date. So it's an important principle to also know is that, like we talk about things like eclipses, of course, those days are when the thing really vibrates and we actually have the event, but it's the time leading around it where we also see a lot of stuff changing. And then, so somebody said, I left my husband on Tuesday, and then gave their chart. Did I get the strength to leave or overreact? I don't know. Natal sun. So your natal sun is 3 degrees Magha, and Venus is also in Magha in the 7th. Okay, well, that's a lot. It shows you're Aquarius person. And a lot of that, so you have Venus and Sun in, they're both in Magha in the 7th house in Leo. So again, Venus in Leo is often very much like, I'm the queen. I'm the important one. This is the difficulty of Venus in Leo. So it can give a healthy sense of identity, but it also often makes compromise difficult, where the person doesn't enjoy it as much as they would like, which means when someone then compromises or accommodates their partner, they often feel like they didn't enjoy it as much as they would like, because, they felt like they looked weak, or they felt like they were subservient, or that they were forced into it. It's like being humbled and not enjoying the experience of giving, because again, Leo is very focused on our own needs and what I want, and always saying, well, did I get what I want? Okay, I gave them what they want, but did I get what I want? Because I'm actually the most important one here. Again, this is the nature of Leo, and that serves us well in a lot of ways. It gives us the confidence and the power to say, no, wait a minute, it's important that I do this, and I have the strength and the individuality to go through this thing and stay the course. Again, because it's ruled by the sun. It's that consistent vision in our life that we want to be honoring. So when Venus is there, again, Venus is the joy of giving to another person and enjoying that. This is why it's very important, and where we really enjoy that for itself, and not feeling like, well, when I gave you this, what did I give up? I compromised my vision in order to make you happy. Was it worth it? No, it wasn't worth it. Like it can feel like that when Venus is in Leo. So that's something you want to notice, just in general. But the real strength behind it is that it shows that things like art and beauty, and in your case, Venus would be the 5th house ruler, your creativity. Again, you can feel like when you compromise with the other person, you're giving up your own, literally maybe like your own creativity, like maybe even things like an artist or something, or things that really fill you up. It's the 9th house ruler, 9th house, which has to do with guru, God's grace, your higher purpose, your higher vision, your higher teachers. It could also be creativity, but it also 4th house ruler, which is your heart, your family, your emotions. Again, it can feel like the emotional exchange is not fair. And so that's the thing that you have to be careful of. So Lynette says, Jupiter, Sidereal, Scorpio stationing at 20 degrees for weeks. Yeah, exactly. Again, Jupiter has been stationing there in 20 degrees for weeks, and it'll be there for a while as well. So I've been talking about this as well, how important these things are, feeling kind of stuck with that. So again, someone says you left during Mercury retrograde. Well, that's not always the biggest thing to consider, but it's certainly possible. And so I have a friend, business partner, inviting me to an event she won tickets to, is sort of hinting to help me pay for her flight. Yeah. Okay. So as if relationships were already a delight, now we have to face this cherry on the cake. Yep, we got to face it. So on point. My son has Mars in Leo, and he consciously chose to go into this Coast Guard because of his humanitarian mission, made that decision as a 17-year-old. Yep. Mars in Leo is very principled and looking to fight the good fight. That's why it's a great sign, actually. One of the best, I think, other than the signs that Mars rules. In fact, I even think sometimes it can be more beneficial in some ways, because Mars in the signs he rules is often so Mars, like it's so martial, it's fighting all the time. In Leo, it still wants to fight, but it's very focused. Leo and Sagittarius, both of those fire signs, are also really very, very good signs for Mars, because it elevates that fighting nature. All right, so we have this, 1 second. Okay, so again, we're starting here, and if we just sort of track this, between now, this is the 8th, and then we get, by this time next week, Mars will have gone into Leo, so Mars won't be debilitated anymore. One of the things to realize, this is also a big shift every 2 years. When Mars goes into Leo also, it's often a time where people are ready for a fight, because Mars has been going through Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. So Mars rules Aries. So Mars goes through Aries, and we're a ball of fire ready to fight, take on situations. Then Mars goes through Taurus, which is much more peaceful, Gemini, which is more intellectual. Then he's debilitated in Cancer, where it's more emotional. After 4 months or so, 4 or 5 months, maybe about 5 months, then Mars finally goes into Leo and says, all right, now I'm ready to kick ass and take names later. So early August 8th, August 9th, start looking for people to be ready to fight anyway. Mars and Leo, people are often ready to fight because they've been playing nice and trying to get along for months. Right now, Mars goes into Leo, and we're ready to fight. Again, it's also often better to have Mars around the end of Leo in the natal chart. I'm blessed to have that one too. It's 22. So Mars had been in Leo for a while. When Mars is in these early degrees of Cancer, again, in the natal chart, notice someone who has Mars in early degrees of Leo, and they're often ready for a fight. And so, again, this is August 10th. So again, August 10th, start looking at this. We got Mars is now in Leo, ready to fight. And look how combust Venus is. Exact combust. Venus is all the way on the other side of the sun from the Earth. So Venus is as far away as it ever is at this time on August 10th. Again, this is a very important principle, right? Very important principle. Look, exact combustion. You see Venus and the sun track almost identical. Look, 2512, 2537, 2526, 2535. And this is Venus moving fast. Venus is moving fast at this time, faster than it usually does, because when it's opposite the sun, the speed of the Earth and the speed of Venus are actually magnifying each other. Planets are moving as fast as they ever do when they're opposite the sun, and as slow as they ever do when they're in between the Earth and the sun. This is the principle of combustion and retrograde and the relative speeds of the planets. So anyway, at this time, as you can see, this is the middle of August. You can see Venus debilitated. You can see Venus combust, Mercury getting close to combust, but Mercury's in Cancer, which, Mercury isn't really part of the equation so much yet, but it's mainly this interplay between the sun, Mars, and Venus. And again, Mars is now deeply combust, 7 degrees. Venus is combust. And again, Mars is now in Leo, which is also ready for a fight, ready to fight on principle, the righteous course. Now, again, the benefit of this is to not be so fired up about your relationships. You want to understand something. The problem isn't that oh, this is so bad. Oh, this is so bad. No, it's not so bad. It just means this is another part of your life that you need to focus on now. And don't take your frustrations about not meeting your goals, about not having something to fight for, don't take that out on your partner. And instead fight with them because you don't have anything else to do with your energy. You need to hear this. Again, this is where astrology, and frankly, where astrologers, I think, just screw people up. I'll just flat out say it. They act like everything is supposed to be fine all the time. And because this is a problem with relationships now, it's really not even a problem with relationships. It means shift your focus at this time to something else. That don't look for relationship partners to necessarily give you that feeling now. You could take the same energy of the planets and align it with something else. This is the power now. So just know this about your relationships and don't fight with your partner. The reason you'd be fighting with your partner right now, there's two reasons. Number one, let's say you're starting it. You're starting the fight with your partner because you don't have anything else to focus on, because you don't have any big goals, because you don't know where you're going in your life, Leo energy. You don't know where you're going, so you don't know what to be fighting for. You don't know what Mars is ready to show up. I already know the fights I'm going to be having. I already know them. And I'm waiting for the people to pop out of the woodwork and start fighting with me again. I already know it. I'm ready for it. I know it already. So I already know what I'm fighting for. So what happens with me often is now, if I have a relationship partner or the people in my life who don't have anything else to fight for, who don't have anything else to be showing up for, they start wanting to fight with me because they're frustrated. And I'm out there individually working on the stuff I need to be, which is that Mars and Leo and that other stuff. And now they want to fight with me because I'm distracted doing my work. I'm not distracted, by the way. It's just now this is the focal point. And I wind up getting into arguments with partners, perhaps, or other people that want more personal time, want more Venus interaction with me. And I'm not feeling all the Venus interaction so much at that point. It doesn't mean I'm not doing Venus stuff, but Venus is now combust, right? At this time, Venus is combust, which actually is purifying the nature of Venus, which means Venus isn't just about making each other happy. Venus is about finding higher meaning in beauty and finding that higher Venus quality. Again, you can find a lot of that in your relationship partners, but that's not the culmination of it. So again, you're either often getting into arguments with, let's say, partners or people who want more from you because you're focused on your goals, or you're the one who is picking fights with the people in your life who are too busy to pay attention to you or something like that. And your feelings are getting hurt because maybe people don't have as much time for you, or they're distracted, or they're in their life and in their goals and in their things that are more important than spending time with you. And you get your feelings hurt and you fight and argue with them perhaps. So again, the solution is to have something bigger to do. Our whole life doesn't revolve around our partners or the other people in our life. This is the biggest illusion I think that human beings have, especially once someone becomes our partner. So you're supposed to be blah, blah, la, 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 la. And suddenly we stop acting kindly toward that other person, and we stop acting like a friend toward that other person. And in fact, we wind up being the ignorant and dysfunctional Venus person. We stop being a friend to them. We stop being devoted to the friendship. We stop being loving and kind toward them. We start demanding attention because our feelings are hurt and because we don't feel valued and stuff like that. Again, you got to find that stuff in yourself. And another person, if other people ever share kindness and beauty and joy with us, we should be grateful. Again, so it's really important to not project your inability to find happiness within yourself, which is the real Venus lesson, and the inability to find that beauty and joy in your own heart, which is the real Venus lesson, and what our partners can show us and gift us, to project that onto others, because Venus is combust. Venus is at this point in Cancer, where I said it, I'll go back. Venus in Cancer is where we get our feelings hurt very easily. Oh, but I would do anything, but I just want to spend time with you. But I'm just so sensitive and you're so mean, so I hate you, right? This like schizophrenic approach to how loving we are. Oh, I just love you so much that I hate you, right? This is like major potential for this relationship schizophrenia that we go through. Cancer, it can be very confusing. So this is why I say Venus in Cancer has this kind of illusion around that thing. So again, the deeper quality of Venus is devotion to beauty and joy and God consciousness, and finding that beauty and joy in something that's not connected to another person giving you something that's going to make you happy, or not giving you something that's going to make you unhappy. And finding value and validation from the outside. Again, Venus is where we need to find the value and validation in our own heart and the beauty in our own self, and understanding that we're generating all of it. No one can make you feel devalued. Only you can do that. And if you've given them the power to do that, that's your sadhana. That's your spiritual practice. Your spiritual practice is to develop a connection to yourself as the source of beauty, because that's what you are. And another person comes and is a reflection of the beauty that you are. But if you get addicted to them as the source of it, that's your problem. That's what you are here to fix. And then instead of appreciating them, you blame them because they're not continuing to feed your hungry ghost of, no, but my beauty comes from you. Now give it to me or else I'm going to hate you. Again, this is how relationships teach us who we truly are in that regard. So again, this whole process of developing our connection to beauty, to value, is going to be playing out. This is really what the Venus lesson is. And so again, when it's over here in this section of the zodiac, it could get difficult. So again, like I said, that joy of just giving. Again, notice I didn't say getting. Venus has often no problem when we're giving. It's when we're not getting that Venus has a problem. So this is why we can see that here. And again, with Mars here, and again, the power of this is Venus in Cancer is very devotional. So be devoted to something higher. Worship something higher. Be devoted and appreciate what the other person gives you and what life gives you. And then focus this Mars energy on something higher. You know, there's a saying that says, I don't remember where it came from, but I remember as a girlfriend said it to me years ago. I think it was, I don't remember how long ago it was, but she was talking about a partner a long time ago who had given her a hard time. And she said to the man, she said, you know, you need more important problems. And it's such a great statement. Like when someone makes you the center of their life and all they do is bitch at you about how you're not making them happy or all these other little things, or you see people that are just constantly cranky about every little thing in their life. Some great advice is, you know, you need more important problems. Like, is this all you have to worry about? Is to cycle around on all of this silliness in the world, or all this stuff that these people haven't done for you, or what I'm not doing for you as a partner or whatever. So again, Mars in Leo is going to challenge us to have important problems to fix and to show up for and to work for. That's what Mars in Leo, that's why Mars in Leo is great. Because we can really rise to our greatness with that placement. Not just there, but that's a great thing of that one. Again, also Sagittarius, these Sattvic signs especially. I really like that. It's that quality of Mars, which is willing to fight for something that's worth fighting for, not just spinning out on personal squabbles and squabbling. So again, that's what it is, like squabbling with partners. This is why I'm talking about the tendency for this is really high, and I'm alerting you to why you're going to be doing it. You're either going to be doing it because you don't have more important problems to focus on if you're starting it. Before you turn that frustration onto your partner, look at your own life and look at what inspires you and see if you're actually showing up in service to something higher, and if you have important problems to be courageously taking on. And if not, notice how your frustration is being channeled into things that are just not important, usually some kind of personal squabble. Mars in Leo shows that. Combined, again, first of all, with Venus in Cancer, it's going to be very personal and emotional and, oh, my feelings are hurt. At least August, through, again, this is till like August 16th. So for a couple weeks. Okay. Then Venus goes into Leo, and then again, then it gets more, perhaps argumentative, etc. Because then now we have Venus. Now we have Venus is still as combust, but now it's joined Mars and it's in Leo. So now it's like, boom. So at this point, we're not going to feel that, oh, my feelings are hurt so much, which was Venus in Cancer with Mars and Leo. Now it's, I don't need you anyway. And it could be this real triggering, breaking connection. Again, because the moon, when Venus is in Cancer, we want to keep the connection and cry about it. We want the connection and we want to cry. We want to cry and cry and cry. But we want the connection because it's Cancer. So we cry about how mistreated we are and how unappreciated we are. That's the archetype of of Venus in Cancer. Cry about how unappreciated you are. Okay? Leo is, F you, I'm out of here. And if you want, you get on your knees. If you want some of this still, if you still want to be cavorting with the queen or with the king, on your knees. Like you two said, if you want to get to heaven, better learn how to kneel. On your knees, boy. One of the greatest lines ever. So this is going to be big, okay? From middle August 16, and just watch Venus transit through Leo. This whole time, this is August 29th. Again, look at all this close conjunctions at the end of August of Venus, Mars, all this combustion in Leo. Again, then Mercury comes in there, and then we're just running our mouth. Again, this is a big time for arguing. Now, Mercury is very combust here, if we go back. So this is when you can really see some fighting going on. This is when Mercury then goes into Leo as well. Now you're going to see some big frustrations and people jumping up and arguing and fighting at this time, end of August into September. See, because now Mercury's getting close to combustion, getting close to Mars, combust. It's all smashed together. Look at this. Look at how close this is. Mars is torched. Venus is torched. All this combustion here, and Mercury is, look how fast Mercury's moving. Mercury's moving more, almost 2 degrees a day. Yeah, more than 2 degrees a day, or almost 2 degrees a day. 14, 16. I'm sorry, not Mars, Mercury. So Mercury's moving really fast. And again, you can see this early September, late August, early September. We get into all this Porva Falguni, which is very much like, it's a fierce, it's like, again, worship me, appreciate me. I'm the king. And if you don't, I'm going to take all the good stuff for myself and keep it. And you're not going to get any of it. And if you don't like it, I'll kill you. And I'll explain to you why you're just unworthy. Again, there's a lot of just like, boom. This pileup in Porva Falguni, right? That's a lot of intensity. Again, then they start to move. But now we get into, and again, that's September. That's, literally like the middle of August through early September. This is September 9th. We still got all these planets here in Leo. Then Venus breaks out, and Venus is debilitated with no Nichabanga for like one day. And then Mercury pops in, and the Nichabanga is there because now Venus is debilitated, but it's with its ruler, Mercury. So again, one of the things to always remember about Venus debilitated is there's usually a very strong Nichabanga component which modifies the debilitation. It's usually Mercury either joined debilitated Venus or Mercury exchanging with Venus, which is what happens at the end. In both cases, it really helps to rescue Venus. Like I said, we'll still have this frustration of Mars and Sun in Leo, hopefully fighting for the righteous cause. But again, the combustion makes it very, it makes it very, possible to overdo it and to get angry and to fight from a place of anger and frustration. Don't do it. A good fighter is not angry. A martial artist is going to lose when he gets angry. It's not about being angry. It's about being controlled, and it's about being cool-headed, not angry. So again, during that time, middle of August through, September, this Mars is going to be very combust. And then we get Venus in Virgo is now more about that kind of bean counting, hair splitting. Again, when Venus and Mercury are in Virgo like this, I really don't make a lot of fuss about it. Again, because these two are such good companions in this regard, especially ultimately there could be a lot of healing and understanding, but Venus is going to naturally feel a little, conservative and sort of figuring things out. When Venus is in Virgo, again, we're noticing all of these things that don't really line up so well. Where there's a lot of hair splitting and bean counting. Again, Venus is the part of us that feels good when we give more than anything. So does Mercury, actually, both of them. So does Jupiter. These are the gentle planets, but Venus is the one that really wants to please the other person, wants to make them happy. Mercury is very tolerant and very much about wanting to be fair, and on that level. But Venus enjoys seeing another person happy in this sense, especially from something that we've done. If we can make another person's life more wonderful and beautiful, Venus is the part of us that wants to do that regardless of what we get back to some extent. I mean, it's also Jupiter and the moon, but Venus in relationship is the one that promotes that sharing and is also very much picking up on people's facial expressions and body language and conveying all of the smiling and wanting to put people at ease. So when it's in Virgo, it's kind of like, whatever. It's sort of like, I don't know. What's the point of all that, right? So Mercury there with it, the way the Nitra Banga is created is that tendency of Venus in Virgo to be kind of cranky and sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of anal. That's the word. That scientific word, anal, becomes less important. And Mercury realizes that it's not really fair to do that. So again, Mercury brings a fair-mindedness into that. It brings a fair-mindedness into it that takes it, that brings it out of that kind of suffering that we bring to ourselves, and that kind of withholding of manners and politeness, and that kind of withholding that can come which is the difficulty of Venus in Virgo, is where withholding affection, we're not, we're kind of worried. It might even be like germaphobe kind of thing. Like, well, I don't know. It's where we get all kind of twisted up around just smiling or something like that. It doesn't feel like that exchange is so good because, well, what am I going to get back? Well, and again, Mercury there helps to really alleviate that by realizing that that's not fair, or also bringing more intelligence. So at this time, there might be that tendency toward not feeling so happy about giving. But again, the benefit here is it's a very creative placement. So again, focus on other creative things. Things that aren't just about making other people make you happy. That's the central theme here about the problem with relationships is we put so much importance on the other person making us happy, and then getting our feelings hurt when they don't, then getting angry when we bean count and remember all the times I did this for you, but you didn't do that for me. And remember, I forgave this horrible thing you did, but you still say it, but you're still doing it and you don't really mean it, and blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of things that can substitute. And Mahina said writing. Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely, as far as something to do, that's definitely something to do. But everybody doesn't do that. But if you have a tendency to write or to journal or something like that, this is the good thing about the Virgo energy is it's introspective, it's feminine, it's about noticing problems and difficulties. So again, Mercury is good at navigating those things. So at this time, again, there's so many things that you could do. I mean, I know what I do because I have a lot of work to do and a lot of stuff that's, my problem is usually more of that. I have too much of that in my life and not enough of the connection individually often. So when these kinds of things come up, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to be working and I don't feel like paying attention to that other stuff, which isn't good either. So there's a balance there. Because Mars, Sun are still going to be here in Leo for a certain part of it, and Mars is going to be there for much of it. There's still a focus on work, but also on organization, on beautifying your environment. If you have a business or other things that you're doing, Mercury, Venus, and Virgo is great for organizing those things. And again, there's nothing that says you can't be enjoying your partnerships or that your partnerships can't thrive or won't thrive at this time. They definitely can. There's nothing in this that says that you can't still be having good partnerships. Nothing. The only reason what this is showing is the tendency to miss the point and to put undue pressure on partnerships and to get triggered in ways that aren't going to be helpful. But instead, again, with the Cancer energy, it's very much about more devotion. With Leo, it's very much about more purpose. So all that stuff that pile up in that pile up in Leo is very much about aligning all that natural beauty and creativity and communication with a higher purpose. Again, and not getting triggered, not getting angry. You're totally in control of that. You are. And that's why you're here, is to navigate those things and do those things more skillfully. So looking at all the astrology is showing the tendency to not do it skillfully and then introduce awareness and presence into it. And when that happens, all of that power of Leo just catapults your work and your vision and your purpose into the world. And you enjoy that. You find beauty and happiness and benefit in that area of life, which is really what the Leo focus is. And certainly within that, you can be having good relations with your partners. You and your partner can be aligned around those things. You can realize, oh, you know what, this is a time right now where it's best that we're working on our projects, or maybe your partner doesn't have projects, but they have a lot of friends that they like to spend time with, or other activities, sports, or whatever it is. Something other than, for the next couple months, I want you to be making me happy. That's going to be harder to do. You want to just know this and translate these things into living activities and things that benefit this actual cycle, okay? So again, as we go forward through September, you see Venus Mercury tracking very close here for much of that transit. September, see Mercury starts to separate a little bit, but then the sun comes in here. Oh, this is each day. Let me go by weeks here. So the following week, you see Venus 18, Mercury 23. Mercury's at it's past its highest exalted state, but it's in its exalted sign. Then Mars leaves Leo, goes into Virgo by early October. So now we're in early October. Mercury goes into Libra, and it starts to really wane, at least a lot of this relationship stuff. By early October, it starts to get a lot less. By the first week in October, Venus is now in Libra, and that's sort of shifting. So I mainly wanted to just bring this out because there's so many things here that are piling up, especially right now where we are with this, with these planets in, we're right here. We're about to go through all this combustion. We got a couple debilitations. We have a lot of planets in these signs, especially the Venus area of life, which is so much of what we're doing in our life, especially with other people. This whole thing, this whole relationship illusion that we deal with is going to be pretty intense. So it's great to set out on our own course. It's a great time to go, into deeper devotion and really connect to the heart, your heart, not your partner, but your heart, and really find that source of love and wisdom, especially between now and the middle of August. It was August 18th or so. Between now and like August 18th or so, no, 16th, August 16th, 17th, the moon is in Cancer. So that's a great devotional space. But be careful about projecting onto your partner about them pleasing you and making you happy. This is, very important. And then so when it shifts and goes into Leo, you have this, this shift from I'm sorry, one second. The shift into Leo, now we're going to see much more of that higher purpose. Like, what's the point of what I'm doing? What's the purpose of what I'm doing? Why am I doing anything? Why am I aligned, or what am I aligned with? Why am I fighting for this instead of that? So Leo really gives that power of the individual to accomplish something. So again, Venus energy at that point, aligned with a higher vision and higher purpose. Again, it can be very spiritual for sure, particularly if in Cancer, we really connect with the deeper devotion. Because then that deeper devotion and like the connection to the Divine Mother, or your own heart, your own, identity through the mind and heart. Then when Venus goes into Leo, it's like, okay, now I'm connected to God and the Paramatman and the Supreme Self and the Supreme Source. Again, that's the highest quality of Leo. And again, these are the higher spiritual qualities of the signs. So this, underneath it all, for those of you that have spiritual practices and whatnot, very much a kind of higher octave of all of the energy. And we definitely see the qualities of Sun and Mars in Leo as being very fiery. And again, the spiritual warrior coming to bear here, especially from the middle of August until the middle of September, when the sun is going through Leo. So anyway, this is a lot to, I just wanted to really focus on this section of something, and to really bring it out, this shift here. And I'm not going to take too many questions here because it's gone almost an hour and I got to run. But I hope this was helpful and it keeps you on track for the next 30 days or so, or no, the next several months with this Venus, but especially in these next couple months, next month and a half, with Venus going through Cancer and then Leo, it's a lot. So I hope this was helpful, and you take care.